Welcome to the Singers Symposium's Behind the Curtain, Sweet Adelines Judges Edition, sponsored by DeborahLynn.org. First, a few housekeeping items. Attendees will be muted. The event is being recorded and all registrants will receive an email within 1 week with a video link. You can use the Zoom chat to ask questions, make comments, and communicate with symposium moderators, and we'll use the Zoom chat to post related information for you. And finally, a short survey will be provided near the end of this event. Your feedback is very appreciated. And now it's time to introduce Singers Symposium creator and our host, Deborah Lynn.
Welcome, everybody, and welcome to our Singer Symposium event that I am just almost busting out of my seat about Behind the Curtain and our Sweet Adelines Judges Edition. I got excited about this one as soon as it started to come together, and I have to say, albeit a bit nervous as well, we are welcoming an esteemed group of women whose accolades are lengthy and impressive, as you can see in their bios. Each of the 4 categories tonight are represented: sound, expression, visual communication, and music. As we enter into regional contest season very soon, my team thought what a wonderful opportunity to hear from each of the categories speaking to the common challenges that they see on the competition stage. Then they'll offer us some perspective on ways in which we can more effectively bring our hard work and dedication to the stage. Each judge tonight will have 15 minutes to share with you their personal wisdom in the category. And then when they have each completed their sharing, we will reconvene in a roundtable to take your questions and dialogue deeper with them. So without further ado, I would love to introduce tonight's panel. So we're going to begin with Kim Vaughn. Hi, Kim. Here she comes. She's coming in any moment. There she is. There she is. Oh my goodness, to have you finally able to be in the room and sharing your wisdom is a thrill. You know, I was reading your biologue or your biologue, your bio, and I was just taken with the length and depth and years of dedication, both in the musical direction of San Diego Chorus, but you know, you were the first person to win 3 international championship gold medals in this organization. I mean, that in and of itself is such a huge feat. So just glad to have you tonight. Really excited to hear what you have to share with us, and so glad you were able to be with us.
My pleasure.
You're very, very welcome. And I believe next we're going to welcome Carolyn Schmidt. I hope I've got the order right. Hi, Carolyn. And you're new to me a little bit, but reading your bio was fascinating to me for a couple reasons. One, your degrees in music and computer science.
Mm-hmm.
You come to music from the way that, you know, music is math. And so it's just so cool to have your expertise. And of course, you've been esteemed with master music arranger and knowing what arrangers have to go through in Sweet Adelines to become certified. I'm like, oh, so we're thrilled to have you with us tonight.
Thank you.
Yes, welcome. And now we're going to welcome Paula Davis. Hi, Paula. And this is almost like the first time I've actually spoken with you tonight. We all kind of joined in the backstage room before the evening, but thank you for being with us tonight. You also have an esteemed career within this organization. And as a past international president, it's like, what an honor to just have you here to share with us your expertise. And I'm just thrilled. I cannot wait. So welcome. Welcome. You're very welcome. And then last but certainly not least, Tori Postma. And Tori's coming in the visual communications coming in from Region 8. Now, so let me see if I've got the regions right. So Kim, you're Region 21. Carolyn, you are Region 15. Okay. Paula, you are Region 13. And I'm currently working as the coordinator for that region as well. The overriding, is that right? What I was reading, the music coordinator for Region 13, or there's some capacity from your bio. And then Tori, Region 8 in Utah, where it's also cold. Yes. Yes. So Tori, I'm just welcome to tonight. You're new to me as well this evening. And I just feel like already from backstage, I just have this sense of warmth and kindness that is radiating from you towards this story. So I'm just thrilled to have you. And I think we're going to jump in, ladies, if you're ready. Miss Kim, you are up first.
I love being up first because sound is so important to us, you guys. I think that if I ever have anything to say to quartets, I always say, or even choruses, I say, it's all about the sound. You have to start with the sound. You have to start with the sound. Yes, it's important that you have good music choices and all those things, but it really matters how we sing. When it comes right down to it, it matters how we sing. And then it matters how we sing together. And that's the next most important part of this is, first of all, how do I sing then? How do I sing with everybody else? Whether it's 3 everybody else's or 23 everybody else's, we still have to find a way to make unit sound. Okay, we have to find accurate unit sound. So important to us. So I decided that in 15 minutes, what was the most important thing I could tell you? And I think the most important thing that I really want you to understand is if your individual voice has a hole in it or is weak in a place, that is going to show in the music. As you're singing along, if that weakness, as you sing through your part, that weakness shows up in that place, and that chord around you, okay, is now no longer as sturdy as the chords in front of it or the chords that are following it, because something's going on with your voice. So consistency as an individual singer becomes a really, really big thing. I think most of us think somehow we can hide it, that if we just have a little bitty thing, let's say we have a vowel sound that we don't say very well, or a word in a line that doesn't sing the same way, like la, 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 la. Well, I promise you that note is going to be in your song. La, 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 that note is going to be there. Okay, and if you don't sing that note very well, it's going to show up in the song. Now, it may be as I'm sitting out in the pit that I can't tell that it was exactly you who had that influence, but I can hear that chord not being the same. So the chord, the 4 parts go along, and then all of a sudden there's this in here. Did you notice I put it in the baritone part? Sorry, baritones. So sorry. I apologize. But so it goes in here, and we think, okay, what was that? And the minute I go, what was that? Now I'm not listening to the unit anymore. You want me to stay listening to the unit. You want me to focus on what the 4 voices or the 24 voices are doing together, not what they're doing individually. If I am forced to listen to you individually, and I don't mean like a move or something like that, that's a different thing. But if I'm forced to listen to you because something happened vocally, now I'm listening to the parts. Now I need to see, okay, so who's in trouble? What's going on? In the old days, I remember hearing a quartet go on stage at International when they knew the tenor couldn't sing any notes at all. She had no voice whatsoever, but they had figured that they'd spent so much money to come that they were going to go anyway. Now, of course, can you imagine you guys judging 3 parts? I mean, what can you say? Once you've written it down and said, there's only 3 parts, okay, you're pretty much stuck with there's only 3 parts. Therefore, there's no finished chords, there's none of that. Well, the same thing happens when a voice like drops out. Okay, when it's not there, when it's not just not there because of a breath. I mean, we all have to breathe, but what if it's not there because we have to breathe all the time in incorrect places? Or let's say 5 people out of your 25 voice chorus are all taking a sneak breath at the same place. It's very likely that that place in the song is going to be weak. This time I'll put it in the leads. Okay, but there's going to be this place in there where it's not going to be as strong, and I'm trained to notice that. I noticed the other day, I think this is almost my 40th year as a judge, which is a little frightening because I don't think it's been that long, but I think it actually has since 1985. I'll let you math people work that out. That's when I went into the judging program, and I loved it. I loved it. The instant I got into it, I loved it. And I loved my category more than anything in the world. I can't imagine doing anything other than sound. But to me, it's so innate. It must be in place. So if I'm singing along at home, working on my part, and I've got a place that's weak, I need to go back and focus on that place. I need to say, okay, why is that weak? What am I doing? Is it a lack of air, which is the most common mistake, is a lack of air. The second most common, of course, is not supporting the sound evenly. So we'll be singing along, but we'll somehow let one be weak. La, 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 instead of la, 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 making them all equally strong. Okay, so breathing, the support of that sound consistently going through. Sometimes we interpret songs so that somebody in a quartet or in the chorus, more than one, are forced to breathe because the phrase is too long. Well, if you know how to do stagger breathing in your chorus, that's probably not a problem. But if you're in a quartet and you're forced to do that, you're going to drop out and take a breath. And that's going to probably put you on a pattern that is not the same as the rest of the quartet. That's a problem because now you're breathing at a different spot than they are. You're running out of air in a different place. We put ourselves under the stress of a contest performance, but it doesn't have to be a contest performance. It could be just a performance where we want to do really well. We want to be there, don't we? I have always thought that good performances are what get us good singers. People want to be a part of something that's good. They go, yeah, that's cool. I want to do that. So it's less about the size of a chorus, but more about the sense of the chorus, how well they sing. So we need to sing really, really well. So consistency. Okay, so I said breathing, support. Okay, making sure that we are the same in our approach to vowels. Making sure that the vowels that we sing are open and free and resonant and not tense, not tight in any way, so that it's never E, but always E, never ooh, but always ooh, always going to the prettier side of our voices. Okay, and that all of our singers are doing the same thing at, by the way, the same time. So then that nasty little synchronization thing comes in. What you'll find is that all 4 of us judge synchronization. It affects us different ways in different parts of our category, but it matters to all of us. We have to sing at the same time. So if one person is off, is that a big deal? Yes, it's a big deal. The smaller your group, the bigger the deal. Okay, there are sometimes when you have 100 voices, it feels like you can hide some of those things, but you only need 3 or 4 people not doing the plan, and the sound is not where you want it to be. So it begins to deteriorate. Let's see, have I shoved enough information at you in 15 minutes? Let me see. Okay, so breathing, support, vowel sounds as they're lifted, okay? The production of sound, making sure that the production of your sound is right and open and free at all times, all the time. If it isn't, you need to find out why. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that you need to go back and find out, why am I not consistent there? Because I'm having an impact on everybody. Everybody who's singing is having the same problem. Directors, I know that that's difficult for you. And here's where the advantage comes to the smaller chorus. And that is that you can hear the individual singer. You can deal with them. You can talk to them. You can have them sing it for you. You can make it safe enough so that they feel like they can sing it to you. So they sing it, and now you know what the problem is, or you can make something better because you can talk to the individual. The bigger the chorus, the more you cannot talk to the individual. Now you have to do it in sections usually, which means you have to train your section leaders to be able to do that. There's a lot of education that has to go the bigger the chorus. I've always believed that education is the only real, what's that thing that, I can't get the word. It'll come back to me in a minute. But anyway, it can come down, and we all, if I know it and I teach you now, we both know it, and we can both teach someone else. Okay. And that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. Let's see. Believe it or not, this is going to sound so silly to some of you, but I'm amazed at the number of people who don't stand up straight when they sing. I'm even more amazed at the number of people who don't stand up and stay standing up and singing as the song progresses. So we may start standing up straight, but it's interesting how quickly we begin to kind of crumple. You can see on international recordings or regional recordings how a chorus will start at a certain level with the background, and then as the song goes on, they get further and further down. And then there may be places in the song with a stand up again, and they go further and further into the song, and on they go. Be a real to choreograph standing up straight, just to make sure that people do it, to get back up. Our best sound cannot possibly be made if posture isn't good. It just can't be. So more than anything else, it needs to be free. Okay, it needs to not have anything pushing on it. No push, no force, none of that kind of stuff. Everything free, open, resonating all the time, looking for overtone. Okay, looking for overtone. Remember, we need to ring. That's what part of what we're after here. Okay, is that ringing chord. Let's see, supported. Okay, consistent. So consistency of your own vocal, your own voice, so that your chorus and your quartet can be consistent. I think that might be all I wanted to ask you, or make sure that you heard from me today. How did I
Thank
do
you.
timing?
You did great. You did amazing. And thank you for all those wonderful tips. I was taking copious notes, Kim, as I always do when I hear you speak.
Oh,
Let's
good.
give some Sweet Adeline love, hands in the air for Kim, if we could.
Thank you.
Thank,
Thank you. Thank you.
thank you so much. It's my pleasure to introduce our next panelist, and Carolyn Schmidt. Welcome.
Thank you. I just want to say what Kim said, because so much of what she covered overlaps. The categories are very overlapping, but our focus is very specific to our category. But yay, with all the vocal issues, if our singers can't produce the sounds as a unit and do it accurately and have the same approach to our vowels. I know I'm talking out of my category, but all these things are heard by all four categories, and it's how that impacts us. So the music judge is listening for us, would like to reward the performance when it's performed accurately and it's in the barbershop style and without interruption of any distractions from unity issues, and the chords are ringing, and that it creates an overall musical storyline. And, we're not really listening to lyrics, but we are. They need to be married into the music and the pattern of the music. So, yes, if the vocal skills are not there, it's going to be, the chords will not be ringing, the chords will not be clear. There'll be parts missing. Very often when I'm listening right away, it's like, do I hear any chords with missing parts? Either because somebody breathed, or because somebody sang a wrong note, or they sang the same note as somebody else. We hear all of that. And the chords need to be voiced in such a way that they support the barbershop sound and art form. So voicing is, of course, the assignment of the notes to the specific singers. So this all goes back to, like, first off, the monumental task of finding a contest song and arrangement that we're going to love enough that we can sing it hundreds of times as we're preparing it, and that our singers will buy into. I know from years that if you're working on something that you don't love, it's just not going to come alive. We have given up. We are not doing this because we're being technical about it. We're doing it because we're passionate about the song, the art form, and how it's presented. We have to get our instruments ready to go by doing everything that Kim has recommended: posture, breathing, support, stamina, so that we can sing strong harmonizations that support a song from start to finish, that will create this overall musical storyline. So music selection falls, of course, that's something that the music judges' ears come right alive. And what did they choose? And if it's suitable, we're not distracted by the selection at all. We'll be thrilled that this is working, and it's so barbershop. The barbershop style is there, and the song is speaking to us, and it's a really musical performance. If the singers have trouble singing those chords accurately, or if the chords are not as strong, then they will not be tuning as well, and not bringing the progressions alive in the barbershop harmonization that we're used to. There's a lot of information about this in the judging category description booklet. I'll give my plug for that. And I think we all agree that our singers would benefit from going back to that and looking from time to time about the category, because I think we all inherit myths about, what's that category? And with the music, it's like, well, did they find a good arrangement? What's good arrangement? Is it something that we've heard? Remember to think about this for me. Sorry. Is it something that we've heard some fantastic group with exceptional skills sing in, that really impressed us? And so often our singers at the levels that aren't up in the A levels, the B's and the C level groups, which is very respectable. There's so many of us in that group, but we think we can get away with singing. If we choose this chart that worked for somebody else, we want to sound like that. So of course we want to sing that song. And we love all those extra embellishments that just with extra background patter and everything going on. What we don't realize is that our singers are not going to be able to carry that off. And as Kim was saying, that there's going to be holes in the chords, because the breath stamina will not carry us through. We won't have that breath energy to make the chords all come alive. There'll be maybe some personal breaths that singers that can't get through the phrases, and so they drop out. And taking a personal breath is a big deal. Personal breath is something that the director, I'm talking chorus now, because personal breaths for quartet, there are none really. But in a chorus, you can get away with having singers drop a word, but that takes skill as well. That the singers understand how not to disrupt the unit, because the unit is sacred. In all four categories, we are looking for unity, and the music judge is looking for consistent chords that are accurate, harmonically accurate, that are clear. Very often we're singing the right notes. And I think we stop that at some of the maybe even at B a level where we're singing the right notes and we think, oh, this is good. And our section leaders have listened to all the recordings that people have given them and checked for notes. And we're like, okay, we're singing the right thing. But what I discovered recently, big aha after years, is that if those chords aren't clear, we're not going to get beyond that level. They have to be clear and not just in the ballpark. So that's, I think, a good thing to communicate to our singers. I found in my own chorus that when I've started talking about just producing clear chords, they don't know quite what that is, but it inspired them to listen differently and strive to sing their part within a different kind of delivery. We say light, we say soft, we say whatever, but clear really speaks to my singers. And of course, they need to be full and resonant, and they have to have forward motion, all these things. But that is so that we have this, we can paint with really good colors when those chords are accurate. And how they're voiced is very important. If we are asking our singers to sing things that are way beyond what supports the harmonic structure that we've learned over the years, will support our voices and create overtones or be easier to lock in. There's a lot of intuition that comes into play with our singers that over the years, they know what barbershop sounds like, and they kind of know what it feels like. But if we're asking them to sing chords that are really spread, too high, too low, maybe they can sing those notes, they can hit those notes, but can they really sing those notes and feed a chord that's going to lock and ring and then get to the next chord? So the other thing that comes into play is the voice leading in the chords and the arrangement. Voice leading being what we're asking our singers to do to get from one chord to the next. So the melody, of course, coming into the lead part should be a melody that we've chosen to sing that's smooth and has a nice structure to it. It's not jumpy all over the place to parts of the melodic scale that are hard to access or just big jumps. But even that, I would discourage lots of folks from choosing those melody lines with those big interval jumps, because now they need to have the vocal skills to access those intervals accurately. Now come the other parts, and the bass in particular has huge jumps they have to negotiate. And very often they're coming from a lower register to a higher register, and they need to have developed the skills to do that without worry and with clarity and balance. So the chord voicings, I'm talking a whole lot about that 30% of the music category, but just to understand, because I'm passionate about, did this group pick a song that suits their skills, that really suits their vocal skills, or are they just trying to sing something because they really liked the way it sounded when some other group was singing it? And you can aspire to developing those skills, but it will take time. And analyzing the score sheets that we get every year and going back to the level guidelines and say, well, what are we missing here? And is it realistic that we can, in 1 year, be able to sing in that part of our range or support for directors? I mean, it changes. I've arranged things that had a whole bunch of tenor hangers because we had a lot of tenors and that worked for us. And now I have 2 tenors. Maybe we got one more coming along. So I can't choose the same kind of music because it puts our balanced sound and our consistent at risk. So yes, choosing music is a huge challenge, but when it works, it doesn't have to be complex. It just has to create this overall musical storyline that needs to go along without interruption, without distraction. Chords are aligned. In the uptune, I can't stress enough how much going to the metronome is helpful. And sometimes I've convinced my own chorus that they shouldn't groan, that this is really a great way to go back, and it's reality. It doesn't adjust for its needs the way we as singers do. If there's a wordy section that or intervals that need negotiating, singers will learn how to get through it if it's just there, and it will reinforce and brainwash them into whatever, feeling the pulse, feeling where that is. It won't only align chords overall, starts and finishes, but it will help with the rhythmic accuracy. I found that so often when a song is very syncopated, as are a lot of our exciting uptunes, or has a number of rhythmic embellishments at the end, that they are messy. I don't think our singers understand how important those little internal subdivisions are. And use of the metronome will really help define it for them, whether they like it or not. It's there, and they will learn how to get the breaths that they need at the pace they need. The breathing has to be all within that framework. So I say this to directors and quartets. I've done both, and going back to the metronome, over time, if we don't check in with that, we'll find that there's sections of the song that start slowing down. And you'll have a difference of some singers that are aware of this and they're just staying true, and the others are taking their time, and now the chords are somewhat not firing at the same pace. So that's my plug for the metronome. The other thing is interval accuracy, because those chords are not going to come alive and be what they should be without the singers hearing where they need to go. So how do we make interval accuracy or awareness of do something that singers care about and can do? I use the melodic scale, and I use a chromatic scale, and build those into my warm-ups so that I can fall back on them. Now, I happen to like solfege when it's just the melodic scale. I don't do all the chromatics in there because that's too even technical for me, that my math person brain, but I do like the melodic scale, and it's a really good way to train our singers to hear do and do, and finding warm-ups that we can map into that so they can start to understand what those accurate intervals are. We still have to train them to be able to do it vocally, as Kim was talking about, but their ears need to know, and their brain that manages all this needs to be trained. So use the melodic scale, and also with the chromatic scale. I don't know if you've all heard the one. I learned this from, I'm going to use the keyboard. I learned this from Kim Wonder, so I'm going to give her credit because I really like it. It's so much better than other things. Single syllables. It's sing the half steps on the air and let them rise with glee. Single half steps on the air and let them rise with glee. There's a little message in there. And the other one is keep the airflow constant and descend reluctantly. That's another little brainwash in there. Keep the airflow constant and descend reluctantly. So just a little tidbit. My singers kind of like that one. And once you have it in place, you don't need to worry about solfege. You can da da ba ba and work your one sol, your interval of the fifth. Singers need to understand that. And you will have some singers that just want to sing a melody and they know the note is somewhere in that ballpark, and others are just like, I want to sing that interval. They need to do both. So all of that for learning to instill accuracy, having the vocal skills, standing up straight and matching the approach so the chords are clear, and then doing various exercises for forward motions so that the phrases are connected. Because that's the other thing that I hear, is that we manage this phrase, and then there's another one that we've checked off, and then there's another phrase, but that we have to get to the point where we understand that these phrases spill one into the next, and you're telling this musical storyline, and whatever we do with one needs to spill into the other. There are lots of tools in the toolbox in terms of the phrasing and the dynamics that will help that. And the more we're inspired by the passion that we're feeling and infusing into that performance, the more it will come alive and feel less like learning tracks. All of that. I don't know how I'm doing on time. Have I?
You're about right at time. I think you're doing super great.
Okay, well, that's probably it. Just keep working on the vocal skills and the musical energy and pick the right material that can showcase what you do well.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. I learned so much in this about this category, and especially I loved the quote, "The unit is sacred in all four categories."
Yes.
Duly noted. Thank you so much again. And I would love to introduce, for the expression category, Paula Davis.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to just jump in here and go because there's so much to talk about, but there's 3 specific areas I'm going to talk about. In general, I want you to think about the first 2 categories that you've just heard, sound and music, and heard those great explanations. They're kind of the hardware of our computer. That's the hardware of barbershop. And without a really robust hardware, it's very difficult, if not impossible, to do the games, all of the creative things that we like to do on our computer. And the expression and visual communication areas are the software of barbershop. But the first thing they require is hardware that will support all of those creative things that we want to do and all of the emotion that we want to share and how we're going to touch our audience. So with all of those in place, those vocal skills that are needed to support it, the breathing skills that are needed to support it, the unity is huge, as she said, and the energy. So as we talk about this, I'm going to talk about the most successful people or groups in these expression area will be the ones that have, as they better their vocal skills, breathing skills, unity, as all that gets better and better, so will their expression. Although once in a while, expression can hear the joy of some group, even though they may not be unified yet in their vocal skills. And the expression category gets to reward that if we hear the emotion of the song really coming through. But the 3 things I want to talk about in particular that I talk about a lot on score sheets is either breath support or breath energy. At C levels, I talk about breath support because the singers are still getting the actual, how does that work? And what does breath support mean? And once they understand it, being unified in their unit so they can deliver sound together. But when they kind of get that in place and start becoming consistent, what we need is not just support, but we need the energy, the breath energy to flow, the air to keep flowing the entire time. And that's what connects the words, and the expression talks about the lyrics a great deal because music handles a lot of those, the chords and all of that, but we are talking about the lyrics. So the lyrics, when they are connected with our consistent breath energy, then they become more meaningful. And one of the ways that we can do that, they talked about growth possibilities. These are just simple little things that you can try if you want. First of all, make sure the body alignment is correct, nice and tall, lifted, wide, and free. Then once that is true, in order to help our singers understand what does that feel like to use consistent breath flowing, you could get a ribbon of some kind and hold it in front of you and pull it this way as you sing, keeping it taut as you sing. And then when you breathe, go back and pull it again. It actually, just doing that, putting a little energy and pulling that and keeping the ribbon taut, connects into the core and helps the core get involved in that moving air along. That's just one way to try to do that. You can also, for a quick reminder, if you just want to remind yourself quickly, you can put your fingers like this. I mean, I wouldn't hold them up this high, but down around your waist or whatever. But just gently pull as you sing. Again, that also connects into the core and helps the core start to work for you in delivering consistent air. So when I talk about breath energy, that's what I'm talking about. Can you connect the words with air that makes them flow together in a meaningful way? The second thing I talk a lot about has to do with unity, and that's internal synchronization. And sometimes that's confusing for people, but I do use that a lot. And in the expression category, it specifically is talking about all the word sounds. Are they happening at the exact same time? And there's a lot of different reasons for that. One of the things you want to address, first of all, is making sure the jaw is relaxed and you are not over articulating the words any more than you need to. We sing in American English, and depending on where you live, that isn't always the King's English at all. Sometimes there's a lot of consonants and things that we don't do, as you might sing in a choral setting. Even our vowels might sound a little different than in a choral setting. So those are the things that we have to work on, this specificity of how those vowels are said. You cannot even, well, you probably can imagine how many ways there is to say ah, but there is a lot. And we need to match our voices. So that's an internal synchronization, how you're saying the consonants, etc. So one of the ways is focus on the pulse or the meter of the song, because as Carolyn was talking about using that metronome, if you can keep all the words inside the pulse, then you know exactly when you have to say the consonants, unless you're overdoing it. And if you're overdoing it, you don't have time to do it anymore, because you're staying now inside the pulse. So even our ballads in the rubato style have an implied meter that you can keep in your body that allows you to know when, how quickly you need to move through a phrase. One of the things that I like to do with songs for myself, is I map it all out and draw myself pictures. So if I need a phrase to move quickly, I will draw just like going in a circle. Or one way to do it is like you're turning the page in reading a book, like, if I ruled the world, every day would be the first day of spring. First day of spring. So that the singers, you can say go faster, and then they go, first day of spring. No, we don't need it to be that fast. So just show them exactly how you want it to be. And if you can make it flowing and that they can physically do it, then they will feel it and begin to sing it all alike. So find those ways, the physical ways that you can help learn it together the same way. So then the internal synchronization starts to come into unity all the time. The third thing I want to talk about, and I talk about it a lot, is musicality and authenticity. That's kind of a buzzword among us these days, authenticity in particular. But there's so many aspects to that. The thing is, when you can see authenticity at almost any level, it's just more effective with higher level skills. So I encourage any group, no matter what level you're scoring at, to reach in and see if you can be authentic in delivering a song. Find something that it relates to you that you can bring out and share with your audience. The stronger the vocal skills and the unity are, the more effective it actually is with your audience. And the emotional communication, which is part of expression, is satisfied more and more and more, because then you really do reach it. Because when you're unified, it's a stronger impression. So how can we do that? First of all, know that if your ensemble is singing at a C level, the best emotions that you can choose are the happy ones: joy, happiness, surprise, even that kind of thing. But they are much more successful with doing those kind of emotions. They're easier for them to accept and to want to be vulnerable and share, because people like to be happy and joyful. As you develop more skills in the area, I mean, we've all experienced those performances that reach in and grab our hearts and just don't let go, because they're telling a story that we relate to, and an emotion. Even if the story is slightly different from our own, the emotion is connecting to our heart. That's because they are skilled in knowing how to show and hear it in their voices, because you can tell a big difference. And that happens through vocal textures, through the actual way you use your air, the way that you breathe. The way you breathe is emotional. How weird is that? But it's true. There's you could have a whole class on how you breathe in that regard. So authenticity is a big deal. The thing you can do to help your group get there is to help them feel safe with each other, and then practice being free in that safety. So use theater games. Get them together to answer silly questions with each other. It takes 2 or 3 minutes. In fact, I limit it to 2 or 3 minutes when I give them a silly question. But then they connect with the person standing close to them. They feel safer. They feel more able to share emotion, because they're sharing something already with them. So using those, they're all over the internet. There's lots of things you can choose. But using those things to help them build muscles in sharing emotion is important, because that's when we really touch hearts. The other thing is to know what emotions that you want to convey, and then you'll have to unify around that. But using those ways, it's not just what you look at. Tori's going to talk about that. It affects how your voice is coming out. It affects the texture that you sing with. So play with it. I just last night had my chorus singing, and they couldn't quite get out of just singing words. And so we had to do something to loosen up and draw a picture, use that connecting thing, until they could start allowing the air to flow through the words, and the words became softer. It changed the emotion of that phrase. So we have to play. Sometimes it is challenging to find something that reaches every singer, but the more we play, the more we will be able to reach every singer. And the other thing is to make sure that your interpretive plan reflects the emotions of your song appropriately. Then we get into forward motion, the actual plan that you have for your musical story. When recognize the actual music and the story, when it builds to a climax, usually when we're trying to get up there, we go faster because the story is building and there's something climactic about to happen. So you have to build the actual plan to do that and create that forward motion, and then realize after that climactic moment, the audience needs to soak that up, and you have to allow it. And then you have to lead them to the place where you finish. It's the best storytelling skills you can ever imagine. And we've seen them on our stages. We see them all the time. It's not magic, but it does take attention to those things that sometimes we'd rather work on the hardware because it emotionally doesn't conflict us. We're just working hard on getting right at certain skills. The thing is, let's work on sharing our hearts as well, because that's what touches our audience. That's what moves them to come back and see us. And it's important that we connect. And so I have now gone from teaching to preaching, I think. So I will. It is the crux of the expression category, is how well you can express the musical story to touch your audience. I think I'm close to being done, if not at my time.
Thank you, Paula. By the way, we love your teaching and your preaching, both. Thank you. Let's give her some love. Sweet Adeline, hands in the air. Thank you so much. And last but definitely not least, Tori Postma for the visual communications category.
Hi, everybody. I'm delighted to have the chance to share this screen with some of my dear friends here in the other categories. And like you, I've been taking notes and listening to all the wonderful words of wisdom. And I thought it was interesting how Kim talked about holes in the sound, and Carolyn talked about holes in the chords. And I think, Paula, you didn't really talk holy stuff, except you talked about the emotions to an audience. And I think I want to talk about the holes in performance. The visual communication category, we're the only judges that watch the whole time that you perform. And so our category is all built around what you're doing visually to sell your sound, your music, your emotion. And I love the new category that we have. It used to be called showmanship, as many of you know, and many of our singers felt like showmanship was what you wore, your choreography, your red lipstick, and you know, mostly what you did visually on the stage. And I really think visual communication is a much better title. What it does is bring the audience into the equation, because if you're communicating, there has to be someone you're communicating with. The new category with the new score sheet really balanced things the way we were already judging as far as our priorities. Our most important priority is what is the audience feeling, and are they being entertained? It was not about your hem lengths were at the same length, or that your lips were fading in the lights. Everything that is in the new category under the element of stagecraft, I'm going to tell you those in a minute. That's what people used to think showmanship were the elements, the tools you can use on the stage to get your message across. But the most important thing is to get the message across. I'm going to echo what Carolyn said about reading the JCDB, the Judging Categories Description Book. It's on the website. And if you're watching this tonight and interested in what the judges are judging and what we have to say to help you improve your performing and your singing, go read the book. It's all there for you. Betty Clipman always used to say that there's no secret. We tell you what's on the test, and then you do it, and then we grade the test. And there's no secrets everything's there for you to study and learn and grow. Okay, the first element in my category in visual communication is vocal skills. Yes, we're watching, but this is a singing organization, a singing competition. And so what you are trying to sell is your singing. So naturally, even if you are beautiful, stunning, have fabulous choreography and stage presence and energy and confidence and sing out of tune, you are not the winner. You are not the highest score in visual communication. You really need to be focusing on the hardware, as Paula said. The structure of a performance is the singing. That's what you're trying to sell. So work on that, make sure that's where it needs to be. And then we'll talk about how to visually enhance what you are singing about. I like to say, ask yourself, what are you trying to communicate to the audience with this song? Is this song just a fun song and it's lively and we want them to tap their toes? Or is there a real message? What are you trying to communicate with this piece of music? And then not only just the whole song, but get down to each phrase. What are you trying to communicate with each phrase? And then do it as a unit, do it alike. So I want to talk a little bit about the elements in the category. I'll just go down them. Vocal skills is the first one. We talked about that. Then energy, absolutely. A lack of energy can really affect the audience connection. They're not involved or engaged unless you are coming at them. And energy doesn't mean faster and louder. It can, the result can be faster and louder, but energy is intent. What are you thinking? What do the words mean? And what do they mean to you? And the intensity with which you send that intent to the audience. Intent and intensity. That's the answer to energy. The next element on my category is characterization. Who are you in this story? Does this character stay the same throughout the song? Or are you singing about Lulu, or are you Lulu? You need to define these things. What character are you portraying? And then once you're in that character, stay in it until there's a point when she changes or it's a different song. And you can accept applause in that character or greet the audience in that character. There has to be a good time when that characterization stops and the other one takes over for the next song. Does that make sense? Okay, physical expression is the next element in my category. That means what you do with your body. Ask yourself, what can my body do to express these lyrics, this music, this message? What can we do as a chorus? Do we want choreography on this song? Do we want just some dramatic staging? As a quartet, do we need a lot of visual gestures or moves alike? What is going to fit this music best, and how will it get the message of the song to the audience in the best way? Okay, next we have unity. All four judges have talked about unity, and in visual presentation, when I comment on unity, it's usually that one is more involved than the others, or you are not matching the intensity or emotion. One looks happy in this phrase and the other one looks concerned. Not everyone on the risers has the same emotional aspect to their countenance. Some are holding very still. Some are moving with great energy. We need a unit approach to the song. Okay, the next thing is body alignment. We've talked about that. That's our instrument, how you're holding it. It helps with how you have command of the stage. If you look confident and you are You are standing tall. It also helps with costuming to fit well if you are not slouched and slumped, but if you stand regally and in the character that you're portraying, that can help the costume hang better as well. Stage presence is the next element. That means, do you have an image? Is your chorus sassy? Is your quartet elegant? What is your stage presence? And are you in command of the stage? Do you look confident and are busy, are engaged with the audience, able to take applause and send messages using eye contact, using your body language, your body angles, your gestures? I loved that Paula mentioned authenticity and being genuine. For many, many years, when we've learned our choreography, it looks like they told me to put my hand like this, and that's the effect it gets. Instead of you're thinking, this is how I feel. There needs to be a genuine, authentic reason why you are moving your bodies, making the gestures, doing the choreography, having the facial expression. So you need to start with what the song is about and make sure that it's genuine and it isn't overshadowing the message of the song by having too much visual or not enough. Next, audience connection. This is the hallmark of the category. We want an audience will never remember what you sang, but they will remember how you made them feel. You want to be sure and be giving the emotion to the audience. After that, we have musicality on our category. That is those beautiful embellishments and things that touch the audience that are built into the music that you take advantage of visually, enhancing what the ear hears with what the eye sees. Creativity, this is where many of our performers really shine. Don't be afraid to try something, but just because it's creative doesn't mean it will go over great. Be sure that, just because it's new and edgy and no one's done it before, be sure the audience is going to respond and enjoy that creativity, but it's rewarded in my category if you've come up with something that really makes the song come to life. Then there's this element of stagecraft that I started to talk about. Let me tell you all the elements that are under stagecraft, but it appears nowhere on your score sheet. It just says stagecraft. These are all the tools you can use visually to enhance that wonderful musical product. Choreography or staging, a costume, makeup and hairstyles. You can do something with a period look that enhances the song if you wish. Props, stage decorations, create a scene. You can do all that. We will judge how effective it is. Now, my concern would be, don't spend 6 months building an iceberg if you're going to sing Titanic and forget to match your vowels and sing in sync. Eliminate the iceberg and sing better is going to get you a better score, even in visual communication. Okay, props, stage decorations, non-singing moments. That means your entrance, your break, your exit, when you are using a pregnant pause, how you greet the audience is so important. Make eye contact. Those are the elements of the category. The one thing I really wanted to express to you all, this is for choruses and quartets. Many of us work the notes first, then the music, then where's our dynamic plan? Where are we breathing? And you learn all the musical things, and then 3 weeks before the contest, you say, we better put in some moves. You are way too late to connect to an audience. The first night the song is introduced, you should know where you want to go with the story, where you want to go with the emotion, what it means. As you are learning the song, put the emotion in, put the facial expressions in, Sing as if there's an audience to connect to as you are learning the song. Otherwise, it will just be technique. If you only practice technique, that's what you will end up doing for an audience. Be sure that you have worked very hard to connect. Things like emoting across the breaths. We've all seen things like, I was never spellbound by a starry sky. What is there? You know, if your face goes away on the breath, or we've seen nerves or concentration or something, if anything shows other than the joy of the music, the emotion you're trying to portray, the audience picks it right up. They're watching you. The other three judges might have their head down and miss it, but I won't, and the audience won't. We are watching you the whole 6 minutes, 10 minutes you are on stage, and what you do visually can either draw us up there and make us feel something, or we can think, oh, darn, they have a hole in their performance, or it isn't all matched with the energy. Now, there's lots of little exercises and things you can do with your quartet or chorus. Get out a video camera and do a section of the risers, video them, and then have them watch them. And they think they really are giving a lot, and it isn't enough. Video your quartet and then freeze frame it as you watch it back and see if you look alike. On this phrase, when I froze it, oh, look, she's looking really sad and she's looking really happy. Get your unit going together. You can line up in a chorus face to face and sing one-on-one with people, because that's what you're doing for an audience, is making that eye contact with your director, but it goes through her to the audience. And if you are emoting all the time consistently, that's going to connect with the audience. Okay, I think my time is up, and there's so much to talk about. And I know people have a lot of questions about things like costume and makeup and all those kinds of things that really are only a tool to enhance that audience connection. Work on your singing skills and start with the emotion right from the very first night you introduce the song. That's my best advice for you.
Fantastic advice. Thank you so much, Tori. We appreciate it. And now for the time in our session that we look forward to is our roundtable. We're bringing all the panelists back on, and we've got some great questions lined up. Just a reminder, please put your questions in the chat. We will make sure everyone is recorded and tracked, and first come, first serve, those questions come. So I'm going to move right into that if it's okay. We heard about energy from a couple of the panelists. There's a common comment, this person says, from our score sheets from International, saying we need more energy, inconsistent energy, or energy is good, or keep the energy consistent from each category. And so Paula did answer that for expression, and also we heard it a little bit. What else can you add to that energy question, panelists?
Paula, Kim, you want to go first? Go ahead, Kim, and we'll come to you, Paula.
I was just gonna, oh, am I unmuted? Did I unmute?
You are unmuted.
Okay, good. I think it's important to understand that you must physically commit to what you're doing. In order for there to be energy to it, you must physically commit. You must physically commit, and you must emotionally commit. You must pay attention to the lyric. You have to open up yourself and say, I am singing these words on purpose this way for this audience, because if I don't, then the song is lost. The song and the songwriter and the arranger, they've done all this stuff to make this beautiful song or this wonderful song come together, and the audience will never get it if I don't show it. I am the conduit. If I don't do something about that, then it will never happen. So it's important for me to be able to go, okay, I physically commit, I emotionally commit to this. And I find that's where energy is for singers.
Paula, do you want to add something to that?
I did talk a lot about breath energy, but the truth is it's an energy in your being, as Kim kind of alluded to there. I absolutely loved what Tori said, that energy is intent and intensity. That's such a perfect description to me for our singing and our message and everything. We have to know our intent and then give it the level of intensity that it requires to reach the audience. And that's different if you're singing at a senior center with an audience of 20 people, or if you're singing on the contest stage. It's a different level. And we need to experience all of that. But in order to reach that audience, you have to have that intent and intensity. Tori, I am now officially lifting that and going to use it. So thank you for saying
Oh,
that.
me too. I wrote it down. Me too. Things I wrote down. I wrote down something from each one of you.
Awesome. Awesome. Carolyn, anything to add to that in terms of the music? Oh, you might be muted. You might be muted.
Unmuted. Having the skills in place, that they are muscle memory, and that you feel when it's right, and you're committed to singing energized chords because they sound better, they come alive. It's what you do because you love it so much, and that they propel themselves. They want to take you in somewhere else in a progression. I'm sorry to use technical jargon, but within the category, when the chords are accurate and energized, then they want to progress. But you have to sing them well, stand up and sing matched production and resonance. So that's where I hear when the chords are just lagging and the musical storylines are not moving along.
Yeah.
Very helpful. We've got lots of questions for you folks, so let's move to this one for Kim. What is your favorite exercise to work on approaching vowels the same way?
My favorite exercise is probably the wee 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 that gets that spends time on a single vowel sound. I like the fact that it gives you the 3 chances at the beginning to get it better. It's just that I want people to remember that the exercise needs to be done a specific way. So I want it, when you sing wee wee wee, the third one should be the best one. They shouldn't be all identical. You should be making it better. We're ear singers. When we repeat something, we should make it better. Wee wee wee. And then when we go into the scale, what we're looking for is consistency. Can we sing the same sound top to bottom, all 4 of us or all 18 of us, whatever? Do we sound the same? Wee, or is there a wee? And if there is, then let's go back and address that. Get that out of there so that it goes all the way down the same way. Then when you get to the peel off part of it, you're looking for, can we take that consistency into our own parts? As I peel away from everyone, do I still match the lead, for instance? Do I still have that same common sound, that common approach to vocal production that we talk about, that has the same sound to it? And then when I take it then to the chords, am I able to do it exactly the same all the way through? I think most people, when I hear them do the wee 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 exercise, it's just kind of a throwaway. And I think there has to be a lot more intent to that, a lot more consistency to it. But that's my favorite.
Thank you so much. A question about, this is an interesting one. Can anyone demonstrate a bad articulation of an uptune and then the same phrase using good articulation? So how can a chorus work on unifying the articulation?
I know.
Go, Miss Kim.
It's just that I'm not really good at demonstrating bad. I'm the best at doing bad. See, what you've got there is 3 baritones. You don't realize that, but you've got 3 baritones there in those judges, okay? And so if you did, I was thinking, as one of you was talking, I think it was Paula was talking, I was thinking to myself, the ways that I've heard people go, how could you believe me when I said I love you when you know I've been a liar all my life, and you can't find the beat. There's so many words in it that you can't find the, how could you believe me when I said I love you when you know I've been a liar all my life. They can't find it. The how could you believe me when I said I love you, kind of, it's into that gang sing sort of thing. So there is your perfect example of wrong and right.
That was very, very good.
Oh, can I just ask Kim to sing it with a pulse?
Oh, sure. Instead of the beat in the pulse. Okay. How could you believe me when I said I love you when you know I've been a liar all my life? So that's like every fourth beat. How could you believe me when I said I love you when you know I've been a liar all my life? I'd probably do the if pushing all three of them. But the beat,
That's
when it's
fine.
yeah.
Thing
How
is
could you believe me when I is beat?
The thing is, having that pulse in there allows it to stay together. How can I believe me when I said I love you? Because I know I've been a liar all my life. So they don't all have equal weight.
Right.
You're headed for the pulse beats.
Yes, and that was when you were talking, Paula, with the design. That was, I'm sorry, I get lost with my little Zoom screen. The design of it, the feeling of that is awesome, especially when you can add that kinesthetic. So that's fantastic. Wonderful, Kim. Thank you. Sue, do we have go ahead. Go ahead, Carolyn.
And also something we learned from Jim Arns, and many times he's taught us things, is just ask the singers to pretend they're ventriloquists. Now, we don't want them to not articulate, but because singing is, to me, different than talking. We use our mouths so much when we're talking, but because we want consistent tone flow and chord flow and everything, we have to get those, the speech mechanism de-emphasized. So something easy for our singers. And I often just go, and Kim was in coaching us and she said, make it little, so as a director, or sometimes if you just do this, it reminds your singers to stop doing this. We're not lip reading. We want to hear the music coming out uninterrupted. So those are two things that I've found effective.
Awesome.
I learned that from Jean Barford years ago about what's your mouth doing? Is it bigger than your hands are doing, or are you going this way with it?
Also, somebody taught me once goalposts. I think this was a Lori Lyford thing in terms of shaping, getting the sound to be north-south. So it's a great season. We have Super Bowl coming up and saying, okay, your mouth is working within the goalposts, and we've got to keep the sound tall within that, not wide. And that creates a lot more unity.
So we have a question for Tori about quartet audience connection. Our tenor and Barry feel constrained by the curve, that they're cutting off part of the audience and sometimes singing to a wall. How much freedom of movement do they have?
Great question. In a quartet, you want to all be sure everybody's heard on the mic, and the end people, well, they still have, at least from the center over to the rest, to the side, should be the audience that they are making eye contact with and covering. And they can look to the center, they can look to the side. And when they step to a bow or greet the audience, be sure that they step out and greet the part of the audience and nod and smile at them and connect with them if they've been singing to this side. If a quartet, the two end people are singing across the quartet and only singing like to each other, it's ineffective. They need to have be turned at least out to where they have enough of a visual of the audience, their portion. And if they're really connecting, that's good. And the middle people, center and bass, are making eye contact with the center to the sides, but they don't turn clear to the sides either, that the side people get to cover with eye contact. Also, if you use focal points in your performance, this is for quartet, there's times when you will be turning straight on and then back in again and looking at this part of the audience and that part, and everybody focuses to 10th row center or wherever that person is that you are singing to, or looking up. So there's a wide variety. The trick is those end people shouldn't just be standing singing across the quartet to each other. They need to be singing to the audience. And if you're close enough and on your marks, you'll be heard on the mic. Don't be singing off the mic, but be sure to be making eye contact with the audience. That's a really good question. You can check that with a video camera too, and make sure that they're making enough contact with the audience.
Thank you, Tori. A question for Carolyn. How much can an arrangement be changed to better suit a quartet? For instance, can a tag be rewritten legally? And how might a tweak like that affect a score, especially if it's an already familiar arrangement?
Wow, that's a lot. That's like 4 questions.
I know.
Well, first of all, about familiar arrangements. When we are listening to a performance, we're not going, oh, I know how this goes. It's not like a competition where you need to sing the way we're used to hearing it. There is some, individual freedom there, and a tweak that makes that tag ring and create the storyline and build and not fall off will be effective and rewarded. I've heard a treatment of something that it makes it better for that particular singing group. I go, well, sometimes I hear my own arrangements there, and I'm not offended if they have adjusted it. Minor adjustments. You're not rewriting the whole new tag. Well, it's a hard question to answer these days, because then you've got the song assessment tool, and who's ever done the rewriting of something, have they created a new arrangement? Is it the same arrangement? Have they just like taken in the seams on the dress? So the style is still there, it's the same pattern, but they've made it fit. Sometimes we take out some embellishments, we simplify them, and about fancy embellishments, the fancier, not the better. If they work, fine, but a lot of times it's better to simplify a little bit so we have more time to breathe and carry the phrases along. What's legal? If it's been cleared, and I'm speaking I'm not a legal expert, but I certainly am in touch with Tracy at headquarters a lot. The song owners and the publishers give us permission. Sometimes international headquarters has cleared a song that they can distribute it. Other times it's a short-term license. It's very complicated. I would write to Tracy and say, this is what Tracy Shogi, and say, this is what we want to do. What's your advice? But if you have revoiced a couple chords because the passage gets really low and now you've found a way to make the chords work better, that you can sing them accurately, that's not changing the arrangement. That's not breaking the law or anything like that. I can't imagine that would be a problem. However, I find it's best to consult the arranger, if you can, and say, we'd like to do the following. Is this okay with you? What's your advice? Because experienced arrangers have a plan in terms of how we've created the voicing so that the phrase can build and can come down. And if someone comes in and simply says, I know another way to sing that chord, and we flip it this way, now the arc of the chords is going to have this bump in it. So perhaps it won't matter in every case, but it often does. And so ask the arranger what's their advice and would they have a problem with it. I think that's a good place to start. Did I answer everything?
You did, and that was a loaded one, so thanks so much for
Yes,
that. Here's the next one. What tips and specific exercises or activities do you use to help a chorus build muscles? That term was used in sharing emotion in an authentic way, so it doesn't feel like over the top, but creates genuine connection with the audience. I know you mentioned drama games, but maybe an example any of you might have.
Paula, do you want to address that first?
I can. There's any number of games. If you're just starting out, do things that are fun and make them get into characters. Like there's one that I like to use. It's a portrait game, and I just point out 5 people. They have to run up there and they say, "This is the portrait of your 3rd grade class. Go." And they have to become some kind of character. And they have fun with it. And then they have another group that comes out and goes, "This is a model shoot. Go." That kind of thing. So they get used to trying to do different characters, which is less threatening than real vulnerable emotions, but it's a step, right?
Wow.
So one of the things, I just did this recently and I found it fascinating, and I forgot the name of it, but she had 2 people looking at each other and gave them 2 different emotions. Well, first of all, I gave them an emotion that they were going from one to the other. So they were supposed to go from sad to happy. So they were looking at each other and they had to do it to the count of 10, which means they had to go slowly. So they went from a sad face, and you got to see all of the changes that went into changing into something happy. And then they took that, and you can expand on that so they can see what it looks like in a face when they change from sad to happy, or from coy to really reaching out for that audience, aggressive, or not aggressive, but direct.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's lots of theater games out there. If you look for some of those things about exploring emotion or freedom, there's lots out there to do, and it's very fun, and it doesn't have to take a lot of time. That's what I keep telling. If you do just 5 minutes every week or so, then they get used to it. It becomes a comfortable thing to do, and then they're a lot more willing to do what they're comfortable with.
Yeah, like improvisation kind of
Yeah.
skills that you get comfortable with being expressive. Yes, I saw your hand first, and then Tori, back to you.
Whichever. I just wanted to say vocally, you want to make sure that you practice that in things like warm-ups. You want different vocal colors as well. So whatever it is you emotionally want to get out of the chorus, you also vocally want to get out of the chorus. So, if you want them to be coy, then they need to figure out how to sing coy. And if you want them to be aggressive, then you need to teach them to be aggressive, hopefully for just a moment as it comes. But we do have moments when we want to be a little assertive about something, but we do have to match whatever we're doing emotionally, whatever our plan is for the song. We do need to make sure that vocally we're doing the same thing.
Yep, that it matched. Tori.
I was going to suggest that too. There are a lot of vocal warm-ups that we used to do. Bravo, 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 bravo. And then we'd sing it a little while, and then we'd say, okay, now you are a prize fighter. And they'd have to do a physical thing and get in. Now you're jealous. And now you're in love. And so you'd sing it differently with different emotions. You're having a sword fight. And I mean, get them into character while they're singing. At the beginning of the evening is always good. Once a song is really learned and everyone knows what the emotional plan is and the visual plan for the character, is a time to get them one-on-one and look at faces, and like I said, or use the video camera and really analyze. Is that you're supposed to look coy here for one. So is that your coy? How can we get that to look more like coy instead of unhappy, whatever.
Perfect.
Perfect. Thank you. So there is, of course, another question here. Somebody mentioned earlier, speaking of the song assessment tool, what are your opinions on songs that have warnings? They are listed as acceptable, but have a warning regarding historic use or content. Are those judged any differently if they're they're admissible, but they have a warning?
Should we go to Carolyn first and then Paula and then Kim? I have a feeling it's every.
Yes, you go right ahead.
Well, I can say something. I mean, I think that's. I ran into this last year when I suggested to one of our chapter quartets that they should sing Shanghai, because it worked for them vocally. The chords were great, and it's a cute story. It had a warning next to it, and they said, "What about that thing about hate rice?" And that was something I advised them. That's there because you don't want to make fun of a demographic of people, and the default might be that they would do something silly that would marginalize people who eat rice normally. But it was part of the lyrics, and it didn't necessarily, it is just what they eat in that country. And it's not, it wasn't penalized in any way. They just sang it because it's the song. And so, and there's a lot of places with warning. My arrangement of Home for the Holidays had Dixie Shores in it, and there was a warning in that. We didn't compete with it. So I managed to convince my chorus to sing Sunny Shores, and now it feels totally normal. And anybody who might, singers say, "Why are we doing that? Why are we singing Dixie? That's the song." I said, because there just could be somebody in that audience that gets really hurt when that subject is brought up. And it was an easy adjustment. So I don't think that, I certainly don't know what the panel secretary, would they be the ones that would check on that? I know they check in advance that all the songs have gone through the song assessment tool, and if there was something flagged. But if it's a warning, I think that we just are watching to see if they're misusing it. So Paula, maybe you can.
Yeah, Paula, please.
I'm just going to speak officially as the judge moderator here. If it says it's admissible, it is admissible. That we're not going to disqualify it if it says it's admissible. If it has a warning, that is there for you to know that it might make your audience uncomfortable in some way, and you may want to address that in some way, much as Carolyn has described.
Mm-hmm.
But on the contest stage, if there's anything that in the song that they feel like is inappropriate, it will be inadmissible. There are some times that they say admissible with this change. Mm-hmm. Like if you change that word, that's different. And we will be listening for, did they change that word? But if it says admissible, it is.
It's sort of like raising our consciousness, a little bit of sensitivity, just being mindful that our audience is our ultimate objective. Right? Yes.
Exactly.
Kim.
I gotta tell you guys, I would just rewrite the phrase. I would take it out. I just wouldn't comment on anything about rice. I would just change the words in the line, because I don't want it to be offensive to anybody. I don't know who's where, and who knows?
Right.
So I would just rewrite it. I would find another way to do it, and especially wouldn't do the repeat of hate rice. Especially wouldn't do that. Not allergic to rice, and just do the chords.
That's what we did. Yeah. The emphasis.
Yeah, I think I would, even then, I might just consider rewriting it. There's a lot of creative people around, who are good with lyrics. I hate the idea of being offensive to someone.
Right. Exactly.
Especially right now when everyone's so sensitive in general. It's really nice if we could actually, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Metzkos used to say, if you think for a moment it's not a good idea, it's not a good idea.
Right.
Yeah. Carolyn, did you want to add something else?
No, that particular phrase, we toyed with the lyrics. It was very difficult because it has to rhyme with advice. It's really, the rhyme is built in there, and it was difficult. But I said to them, just don't do a big choreographic move that shines a light on it. Sing it because it's part of the phrase, and we stop paying, as listeners, we're not paying attention to it if you're not doing some silly motion that's emphasizing it. And so, yeah, there's a lot of ways to treat it. Just don't be offensive.
Yeah.
Thank you. We have two questions that seem a little bit related from two different people, so I'll give this a whirl here. First is, how do you deal with extremes in abilities of chorus members? And the second is, with an aging chorus, to keep stamina and energy up throughout the song. So it sounds like extremes in abilities there as well. They could be different, could be related. You choose.
Can we go visual communications and then sound? I think it's to start with. So Tori,
Okay.
side.
If you're talking about extremes in performance abilities, visual things, I think drill and individual help is always good. I do think the video of a wedge or a quartet and sitting together and watching yourself, you can see the things that they're doing. I once had a lady in my chorus that just really had trouble expressing with her face. And I had her come over to my house and we sang in the mirror together, the two of us, and tried to get her to sing with an expression, any expression. And the only time she could was when she sang Happy Birthday with me. Happy birthday. Her face was on. I said, okay, there it is. What are you doing different on this song? She says, well, I don't have to think about the notes. I know it so well. So I said, the key for you is to know your music so well that you don't have to think about the music and can concentrate on really trying to portray. So everybody has individual reasons why they can't do it. Like Kim talked about a hole in your voice or a weak area in your voice. If that's your problem, your bailiwick, no, that's a good thing. If it's your struggle, that's what you work on. And the trick with extremes is that isn't their issue. So the ones who have a problem, that's what they need to work on. This one over here that has a great face, she's singing the wrong note. So I got to work with her on that. Whatever it is that you don't do well, help. Your music team can work with people and help them get so they match their abilities better. That's my suggestion.
Thank you, Tori. Kim?
I always find when people ask questions like that, what we're talking about is levels of proficiency. So we have people, we have some people who are really, really good. They're really good singers and pretty consistent and all that kind of stuff. And we have singers who are a whole lot less so. If we're going to go with extremes, that's what we're talking about. I think that all of us need to be singing at the level of the people who have the highest level. That's where we're going. We want everybody up there, but it doesn't work that way quickly, and it doesn't work that way easily. So you have to take the people who are skilled and up at that level and turn them into teachers. You need those people teaching below them. You need them going, okay, I know how to do that, so I'll help you do this. And we let this education dribble down in, okay, so that people start getting stronger and stronger. We don't try to eliminate the bottom, which is what I've seen some choruses do, where they just sort of do a new audition process. Suddenly we have a new audition process, which eliminates, 10% of your chorus or whatever. If that is not the way your chorus wants to be, and I think most choruses would probably not like that, then what you're doing is you're having to help educationally. You've got to pick people up. You got to help pick people up. So that means you need an education program that is pretty specific. Okay, you've got all these people. I think all these people at these upper levels now need to become teachers, and we need to spread this all down. We need to bring in outside help, probably. You may need to bring in some coaching or vocal people to come in and work with and inspire some of the people who are struggling and help each of them figure out, what am I struggling about? What's my concern? Okay, what is my area here that I need to focus on to get better, and help them do that. We are an educational organization. And it's the difference between us and VHS. is that it's the biggest, oh, good, the dogs. Sorry. Oh, isn't it lovely? Stop, Daisy.
He has a glitch in his voice, Kim. You hear
Yes,
that?
Maisie, Maisie, stop, honey. Maisie. I know someone has come to the door.
Okay.
Wouldn't you just know? Paula, why don't you talk while I take? I'm gonna close.
I think it's a vocal exercise.
I was just gonna say it can be really eye-opening for some of those people that may be at a beginning level to take one of your best vocal examples, particularly in their part, and have that vocal example sing and then say, now I want you to try to fit your voice into that one, inside of it. And maybe help them know they need to add more space, or they may need to check their body alignment, or whatever it is that you see that might be, but help them really experience and feel what it's like before, and then what they can do to really sound so it's like one voice instead of two things. And you can do that inside a section so that you can all develop that section into greater section unity as well. And if you do it more than once, use a different voice so it doesn't sound like you're just saying they're the only good one around, so sound like them. But it can be helpful to help people that don't know what they should do, they as far as how it's supposed to sound, and that gives them a good vocal example.
Yes. Yeah. And I've noticed going out that, you know, we have a lot of professional women in this organization that are very confident in their professions, but they're not necessarily experienced trained singers. And so they step on the risers and all of that confidence is like, huh, I don't know who I am anymore. You know, somehow helping lift people so they're empowered to know that it's okay that you don't know exactly how to do this. This is why we're here. Yeah. Carolyn, did you want to add anything to that one?
No, I was just agreeing. I think I have to go get some more scrap paper because I have so many pages of notes now on the backs of things I can't even read. So just a second.
Okay, good. Sue, have you got questions over there?
I do. Someone's commenting about, has the vowel chart, if you will, for Sweet Adelines changed over the years? I've been seeing more vowel and word sounds that are more like actual word and not contrived and overdone, is the comment.
Oh, that's so true. Yeah.
Go there first.
Go ahead, Paula, go. 1, 2, 3.
And then we'll go to Kim.
There is no chart. Paula.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not aware of the chart, but part of it is we sing in American English. Barbershop is an American art form, and we sing in American English. So to use a formalized chart, vowel chart that you might have seen in a choir or something, it is not the same. So, but I know in our history, we have done a lot, like say the word I, the letter I, you know, we really did focus a lot on E and turning that diphthong. It's true, it is a diphthong, but I don't ever teach it that way because the generally leads them to a dark place that's further back in their mouth. And so I do this. The letter I is said like these things right here, which is a brighter, ringier sound appropriate to barbershop, and it sounds more like American English. So yes, there is some, I think, tweaks that we have made to actually fit our art form better and to allow the ring to happen and the American English to be used.
Resonate. Kim?
So I think there's always someone who wants to make a chart out of everything. I think, you know, some people just learn that way, and so they want to chart it in some way. Or there's the people who have the old VHS, you know, picture of Bill, my friend Bill, doing all the vowel sounds and all the rest of them. You know, none of that actually works, you guys, because that's external work. Vowel sounds are primarily internal. And so we only finish with the mouth. We don't create with the mouth. So because it's free and open in there, I love what you said, because I think what she said at the end of her question was the right answer. And that is, yes, we are heading for an open, free sound that is not on someone's chart, that is looking for overtone. If you're making an open, free sound and there's ring in it, it's right. For barbershop, it's right. Okay. But a lot of choral people, have done choral things, and it's okay if you want to chart it out and it makes it better for you. I suppose it's really okay to go ahead and do that for you. I'm not sure that I would share that with the rest of the world, because people don't do it or experience or sense it the exact same way. What we really do as voice teachers is guide you. We guide you to the place that's ringing and open. We don't say yes, no. Well, we guide. But we can say, yeah, that's better over here. Yes, this one, yep, that's the one you want to go to. And the organization is doing that. It's guiding and saying, yep, you can tell that our singers, our winners, are singing with free, open sound. Okay, and listen to them and say, yes, that's what I want to do. Yeah. I liked the end of your question.
And you can understand the words. You can understand.
Yes. Oh, yes.
The lyrics are, it's lyric driven.
Yep.
Just a final question, and perhaps an important one, is would you be able to recap the areas that are common to all 4 categories, many of which you've already listed tonight?
Paula, mother of mine.
There are 4 things. The first one being that all judges comment on and use to determine their scores. First one is vocal skills. It's on every score sheet. The second one is unity. The third one is energy. And now I think it's on 3 sheets is musicality. So did I forget one?
Do we have synchronization on all of them anymore?
That's under unity.
Okay. Okay.
Very helpful. Thank you. And we have a closing comment that I would like to share with you all. She asked to be anonymous, but she says, I appreciate both the kind and constructive comments given to us on our score sheets. And I would even love more direct feedback to help create improvement plans. And thank you. This has been an amazing session.
Lovely.
Oh, Holly Layton has a question. We can take hers and then we'll have to wrap up.
Okay.
Let's see.
Suzanne,
Holly.
will you call me, please? Okay.
Hi, it's actually Helen Layton, and it's a comment, it's not a question, but I wanted to pick up on something that Deborah said. Deborah, you were talking about the fact that this organization has a lot of professional women who are immensely confident in the work that they do. And then when they join and they get on the rise of that confidence, if they're not professional singers, they're not trained, the confidence kind of dips.
Yeah.
This is true, but I want you to know, and I know we all know this, that it works the other way as well. A lot of women have built tremendous confidence through what they've done in Sweet Adelines, and that confidence has then, augmented and spilled over into their professional lives and with their personal relationships. So it's very much, and I'm one of them, it's very much the other way as well.
So one of the things
It's a beautiful commentary about the power of this organization.
Absolutely.
Especially in these times. Absolutely. Kim.
I just want to tell you one little thing about that confidence thing. I was in Australia for a month last year, and almost to a chorus, when I asked them, what is the thing you want more than anything else? The word was confidence. So I think Helen is correct. And it's her own experience that sees it from the other side now. But it's interesting to me that I never mentioned that to any of them. They all came up with the same word. So it's a big deal to us. We have to keep building confidence as well.
I do. I think, one of the, if I might just interject this, one of the things that I've noticed is, we're an organization coming out of this pandemic, and the pandemic impacted women in ways, I know it impacted men, but it impacted women ways in very deep emotional ways. And there's a healing process somehow that's going on here, and lifting people up, the joy of singing, the joy of what we do together, the fact that we are together as sisters. It's very powerful. So thank you for letting me interject. Paula.
Just very quickly, I almost hesitate to say this because that was such a powerful statement. But they asked a question or made a statement about they appreciated the positive comments, et cetera, but would like
more feedback.
Basically more suggestions. The thing is, when we are judging, we are adjudicating that 7 minutes of your performance life. We will note what happened during that performance, and we can provide statements about your next step is, or all that kind of stuff, but we are not there. It is not our purpose, and we're actually not allowed to coach on that score sheet. So what we will do is point you in a direction, but we're not going to actually give you suggestions on what to do or anything like that. That is not our function right there. That's the function of a coach or a teacher or a director or something like that, or to seek out ways to find that out. So I just wanted to say that, and also say, if you ever have questions about what something means or anything like that, please feel free to write the judges. We're very happy to respond to that. But if you ask them to tell you ways to accomplish what they just suggested that would be your next step, they will refer you to a coach. Because our job is to adjudicate, not to coach.
Well, and I think you just said something really important there too. This is 6 or 7 or 10 minutes of your life that it's like a little snapshot that we're getting. And sometimes we hit it and yay, we did great. And sometimes, whoa, something went astray. It's live theater. It's live performance. That's part of the thrill of it as well. So yes, it's just an amazing organization. Tori, did you have a comment you wanted to add?
She's muted.
She's muted. Now
there it is. I appreciated the thought of the confidence that can be built and the sisterhood that it ties us all together. It's so beautiful. In the 40 however many years I've been doing this, it has brought me friends from all walks of life, and the way people grow in this organization, if it's a healthy, happy group, is just amazing to see. And I'm really thankful to have had the opportunity to share some thoughts with this group tonight. And I wish you all the best. When we're judging you, we are not saying you are a C+ quartet or you are a B- chorus. What we are saying is this performance rated here today, and we love you. Go forth and improve and get better. And we're waiting to write it down with joy as soon as you can get there. And we love our competitors. We love judging. And maybe you don't know, all judges also get a report card every year of words we misspelled and incomplete sentences, or that was incongruent with what your score was. We practice this skill as well. We're there for you to help you, not to chop you down in any way.
Right.
Thank you, Tori.
I can say I am so grateful for Sweet Adelines for many things, but over the last period of time and the pandemic, when we were so incredibly isolated, I would not have been able to stay in touch with the joy and the love of all these friends if it weren't for Zoom. My chorus, I mean, we had 65 Zoom rehearsals but I loved every single one of seeing my friends and then Zooming with the judges. We continued to learn and share. And yeah, it was a terrible challenge to get through all of that. I felt like I grew through all of that. It really helped. What got me was the connection, as you said, then the sisterhood and the emotions. We could still share emotions, even though we weren't in the same room. So thank you, Sweet Adelines, for all of that. And I think the expression that Ken was trying to think of before, so the education is the knowledge philanthropy. I learned that from Sharon Babb, and she said, this is what we do. We share knowledge, what we share our lives. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Would you guys like to just share one little thought in parting as we finish tonight? This has just been such an extraordinary evening, as I knew it would be. Kim, do you want to leave us with a parting thought?
I think it's more fun for me to do these than it is for you. I love hearing the questions and the things that all of you say, Tori and Paula and Carol and I mean, I have notes too. I'm sitting here going, wait a minute, I've been a judge a long time. Am I still learning? Yes.
Yes.
Shouldn't we still be learning? Yes, we should. And it's wonderful to be able to do that. And it's wonderful to see all of you. It's really nice to see your faces. And I'm really glad that you wanted to be a part of it. It was my pleasure. It's very much my pleasure to be a part of it. Thank you for asking, Deborah.
Yes, you're very, very welcome, Miss Kim. How about Paula? Any parting thought for you?
I think my parting thought is probably one that is always my parting thought, is that music changes lives. It changes our members' lives, and it touches our audience and can change their lives as well. And that's what we do. And we should be so proud to be doing that for our world. So thank you to all of our competitors that do that, because you bring harmony and joy and music into lives around the world. So thank you to all, and thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Yeah, wonderful. Carolyn?
I think I kind of said it already. Just that what we do connects us and gives us a chance to perform together. I was a math major, and then I was a computer science major. They're kind of boring people. And I learned how to have fun when I was a Sweet Adeline, and friends that are unbelievable amount of friends. I can't imagine my life without everybody. And sometimes we move away, but then the organization finds a way to fill those gaps and pull us together in a convention. We see our friends. So I can't imagine not being part of this. And I feel really very fortunate to have received the education that I got from the arranging gurus and Minahan and Renee Craig and all those other people that shared their knowledge and helped me when I was younger and had my brain cells were really fired up. And when I wanted to learn how to do what they did. So it was that sharing and then all the coaching. And thank you, everyone. You've just made my life so full. And we need to do that for everyone.
Yes, indeed. Miss Tori?
Be kind, be inclusive. And if you're having fun on the risers, for heaven's sakes, show it. Get your faces on and have a ball and spread the joy. Get as many people in there's women out there who need us. They need to sing. They need music in their lives. Thank you so much again. It was fun to be here tonight.
Glad you were able to be with us. And I want to thank our team behind the scenes, Miss Sue Melvin and Vanessa Eklund, who are making the magic back there and making sure everybody's taken care of. I just adore this team. They're brilliant. And thank you all for joining us tonight and being with us. I felt like this was an important conversation, and I feel like I have certainly gleaned an enormous amount of wisdom over the night. So I hope that it has been of benefit to you too. And reach out anytime, ladies. If there's anything you need or you want to hear about, please reach out to the symposium too, because we like to bring it to you. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you.
We thank you for attending this session. All registrants will receive an email within a week with the full video of this class. Please complete our brief survey via the link posted in the Zoom chat. Contact us should you wish to purchase any videos of our many prior virtual education sessions. Stay tuned to Singer Symposium social media for more upcoming events.